In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy God is one. Amen. Good morning, Anthony, and Elizabeth, and Judy, and Stella. It is sunny and cold. Stella, same here. I'm in Lincoln at the moment. Tomorrow, God willing, I shall be in the monastery. Good morning, Gary and Dino. Good morning. God bless everybody. Okay. Well, here's Vicky as well. Now, today, what we're going to do, apart from the fact that it's nice and sunny and a beautiful day, and good morning, David. And I'm hoping to dig up some plants in the garden here to transfer to the monastery, which I think are good. I'll try not to take any weeds with me. We'll be looking at chapter 13, verses 31 to 35, and learning about the new commandment that the Lord gives us. Good morning, Christos. So, without any further ado, let's get on with that. You'll notice that I've managed to get my computer working again, and the internet is working properly today, which I don't think it was yesterday, and even the microphone could well be working as well. So who knows, we might be having a golden great today. Good morning, Father Alexander, your prayers. Here we go. So when Judas had gone out, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and glorify him immediately. Little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews, where I am going, you cannot come. So now I say to you, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." And you'll be delighted to know that there's all sorts of delicious mistranslations there. I think we're freezing or something. Is it coming through properly? Lots of nice mistranslations. Good morning, Graham. I'm sorry to hear about Dino's son there. God bless him. Good morning, Beverly and John from Melbourne. Good morning, Anton. I was wondering whether the icon needs to go back, Anton. Maybe you can message me and let me know. Good morning, Irini. And good morning, or rather good evening to you, Thekla. I guess it's also good evening to John as well. Anyway, here we go then. Judas has already left. He has gone off into eternal darkness. It was a horrific thought. It ended yesterday and it was night. And Judas goes off into the night, into eternal darkness. We have here a large icon of the Last Supper being painted by John. I guess I should really say written. It's huge. It's about, 3 meters wide and about 1.5 or 2 even deep. Much bigger than I thought it would be, because I just said, just cover that space up there. Then they measured it. It didn't seem very large to me, but it is one of the biggest icons I've seen, I think. So it's very large. But in that, we have two depictions of Judas. Well, Judas sitting at the end of the table, which, as I pointed out yesterday, cannot have been the case. He must have been sitting, or rather reclining, right next to the Lord. And John is also on the wrong side of the Lord as well. He's on the Lord's left, whereas in fact he would have had to have been on the Lord's right-hand side for him to be sitting in the right place for the conversation to have taken place. Anyway, there's another, in the icon, there's a separate area which shows a door. Behind the door, deep darkness. And going out through that door, you just see the shadow, really, of Judas's face, already beginning to lose his features as he goes into ever greater eternal darkness, having taken his leave permanently of God. So what else do we have there? Well, after Judas has gone, we're left with the faithful disciples, St. Peter, St. John, and all the rest of them. And therefore what we have, the Lord is eating with them, therefore what we have in this situation is a sign of Jesus, the Son of Man, already glorified, and God the Trinity glorified also. It's a sort of, what is left behind is a type of icon of what it means to be in heaven. At the Last Supper, Judas having disappeared, we have that icon of heaven. The Lord with his people gathered around him, eating together. So you have that icon there of heaven itself. It's also interesting to note this is the last time that John the Evangelist uses the term Son of Man. And it doesn't appear anymore at all in John's Gospel. Okay, so if you want to know what heaven looks like, what it feels like, then you can have a look at this icon without Judas, and that is what it's like. The Lord, of course, is going to be, he's therefore glorified at that point. There he is surrounded by his people. That is his glorification. Glorification part 1. Glorification part 2 is about almost immediately going to take place. Judas has already gone off organizing his glorification. Immediately it's going to happen by the Lord being raised up upon the cross. You remember that anno cato thing. So being raised up on the cross, in the future being ascended into heaven, those also are him being glorified. Also the resurrection, the raising himself up from the dead, but also the whole thing, the entire passion narrative from this point onwards, all the way through forever, is the glorification of Christ. Okay? And at that point, he then turns and he looks at his disciples. And the first time, he calls them teknia. Okay? It means little children. But it's a diminutive, lovely word to use. A bit like going once more in your friends and saying, now then kiddos, what are we going to be doing? Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're little or that he's talking down to them. It's a bit like you might say, now then my darlings. Though you would have to have an accent in from Cornwall or Devon for that one. You would say, everything me darlings, or from like Father Michael, who's now up in Shetland, speaks when he was down here in Lincolnshire. He had a very strong Cornish Devon accent. I'm not quite sure which one it was. I think it was actually Cornish because he lived on the borders of Cornwall and Devon. And whenever he spoke, it's very intelligent, whatever he said, but also had this wonderful, beautiful Cornish accent. And they'll say, now then, me darlings, how are we getting on in here? And that sort of way of talking is the way the Lord is using this. So it's deep affection. Okay, the traitor is gone. Now he can talk about all the other ones as his particular beloved ones, his little children. Okay, it's typical also of John to say that. If you look at the first epistle of John, you'll see that he uses little children or my darlings quite often, all the way through, 4 or 5 times. So it's a particular way of him talking. And it shows that warmth of feeling he also had with his own disciples, those ones that he was doing. So little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. The fathers of the church, they argue about what the Lord means by that. Does he mean you've only got a matter of a few hours with me? Before very long, I will be gone. Or does it mean you've got 40 days with me around you? St. Augustine says 40 days, for example. Quite a lot of the other fathers say He's talking about his imminent crucifixion. And then he says, you will seek me. In English, it says, you will seek me. The Greek says also seek me, but it's got a richer flavor to it than that in New Testament Greek. It means you will seek me, you will desire me, you will search for me. It even means you will worship me. So all of those things together. And I think it's best to hold all of those in one go in your mind. You will do all of these things. You will look for me, you will desire me, you'll search me, you'll seek for me, you'll worship me. But, as I said to the Jews, and now I say to you, where I'm going, you cannot come. Not yet, anyway. He's going to leave them behind. And is that going to be a disaster? Well, the disciples, which we'll read about tomorrow, they're frightened by this idea. The Lord is going to go. He's going to leave them behind. They're not sure what he means by this. He doesn't understand. And although he talks to them tomorrow about going ahead of them to prepare a place for them in heaven, where there'll be many mansions in his Father's house, they don't understand at all what he's talking about. Not at that point. Where's he going? What's he going to do? Surely we're on the very cusp of his glorification as the new King of Israel. They're right, but a completely different sort of King of Israel from the one they're thinking of, that they have in their minds. All of them, of course, are going to join him, entering into the kingdom of heaven, and in a similar bloody way, with the sole exception of the writer of this gospel, John, whose martyrdom will be long and hard over many, many, many years. It's possible he lived well into his 90s. And therefore, almost everybody that he knew, even as a young man, his own contemporaries would have died by then, because the average age then would have been in their 40s and 50s. If you were very old, you lived to be 60, 65, 70, and extremely old, you lived to be older than that. Okay, and he lived to be in his 90s. And that's part of the reason why there's the saying that, well, maybe the Lord meant that he would not die. He lives all this time so far. And then the Lord does something quite amazing. Now, who can give commandments? The answer is only one, God. Only God can give commandments. Moses climbed up the hill and he asked for, well, he was given commandments by God, probably by the pre-incarnate Christ. You have that also, that vision of Moses and the other elders eating on the sapphire throne of heaven. They feed with God, and God himself gives them commandments. This is being recreated here, really, in the Last Supper. Okay? And the new commandment I give you, he says. And that in itself is interesting. There were 613 laws, commandments of the Old Testament, and the Jews themselves thought of the whole of what we'd call the Old Testament, so not just the law, but the prophets as well, as being the commands of God, the law and the prophets for how they lived. And that is how you were recognized as being a Jew. You lived according to the 613 laws, the commandments of God. And therefore you were recognized by your prayer shawl, if you're a man, hair that was covered if you're a woman, the lack of jewelry and your hair is not braided if you're a woman, the fringes or curls by the side of your head, your locks by the side of the front of your ears if you're a male, or by a yarmulke on your head, a small skull cap, by a circumcision, and all that sort of stuff, and by your dietary rules and so on and so on. By not having tattoos, by doing the sacrifices, all those other things. Okay? So you have all of those things, 613 ways of showing that you are a Jew. But Jesus is saying you're not going to be recognized as being a Christian by having a prayer shawl, or hair that's covered, or lack of jewelry, or no braiding, or not having tattoos, or fringes, or curls, or by having a yarmulke, or being circumcised. For that matter, you're not going to be recognized by having miracles, picking up snakes, feeding the multitudes, building churches, or heroic fasting, or speaking in tongues, or moving mountains, or having faith or knowledge, or being poor, giving everything away in generous acts, anything like that. You can read the whole list if you want to, 1 Corinthians 12 and 13. St. Paul left us. No, as St. Paul, he says, if you don't have love, you have nothing. You have no benefit. The Lord says this, a new commandment I give you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. Okay? That is the law. That you love one another as I, Jesus, have loved you. In that way, you also love each other. That's the really crucial, amazing thing, the new law that he gives. And in that way, all the old law becomes irrelevant. If you think about the laws of the Old Testament, what they were there to express love for God, to express love for your neighbor, to express love for everything that there is. And that expressing of love is what the Lord does. Actually, he makes himself love. He is love, and as he's loved us, so we also love him. This particular sort of love is agape, which means self-sacrificing love. There's storge, there's philos, there's eros as well. And the love that the Lord chooses to say is agape as a commandment. And and the followers of Christ must live according to agape. So the evangelist clearly thinks of this as a brand new commandment. Okay, the word that he uses is kaini or kaini, like the New Testament is called the New Testament. Same word, same new, the new commandment, the new witness, brand new, fresh. The word new there means either fresh or new or unused or novel, completely something different. Okay? And that's the way that Lord is using it here. A new commandment, the commandment itself. And he's thinking about that in terms of a new covenant. There's a sort of new covenant between God and us, and that is that you love each other. You show agape for each other, self-sacrificing love. You wish well to others, you take pleasure in other people, you live for other people, you long for them, and you die for them. In the same way as the Lord dies for us, we die for them. I remember seeing a film where some Protestant was saying about taking up your crosses and saying, we all have little crosses to bear. And he was talking about problems in life. Those are not what the Lord is talking about. He's talking about a great big and blooded cross that you are crucified on. It appears that you've been crucified on that cross. In fact, you are bearing it. You are carrying it rather than it you. And that is the cross that we bear. The absolute self-sacrifice of ourselves to God in love for all. Okay? Not a little cross that we have to bear. That's just nonsense. Okay? And here in this new commandment, we see what the new creation is going to be about. If you think about this new creation that God has made, when he breathes out on the cross and he recreates humanity through his death, that recreated humanity, those people living and being his disciples, are recognized by their love. Okay, that's how they're recognized. It's a new creation. And if other people, verse 35, see this love within you, they actually see Christ. And that is a sort of description of what it means to be a saint. Okay? A saint is somebody through whom the love of Christ shines. It's not his love, we make it our own. And in making our life one about love, we shine forth that agapital love to other people. Okay? It's interesting what it says here. By this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. In fact, that's a slight mistranslation of the Greek. It says in Greek, by this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love among one another. Okay? So there's love among one another. You can see how much more powerful that is. It's not love for one another, it's love among each other. And that love among each other is not just me and you and me loving each other. It is love which actually entirely envelops each other. Okay, we're enveloped in love. And that love is between us and among us and around us and spills out from us towards other people and other things. So somebody rather who is a Christian should not just love other people who are Christian or just love their families, but they love everybody. They don't just love everybody, they love everything. They start off, of course, with loving God. The love itself pours out in every direction from the church, or it should do. Hollow laugh, hollow laugh. But the love of God should pour out from us in every direction. And whatever it might be, whether it's, well, I rescued a ladybird in the window earlier on today, whether it's me loving a ladybird or somebody else loving elephants, somebody else with the outpouring love that comes to them through communion, baptism, all the other sacraments, loving people who are homeless or sick or orphaned, those people who are at home and cannot get out, and so it goes on, then this is love that the Lord is talking about. It's also the love. I saw a thing on YouTube yesterday where a man notices that there is a man standing on the railway line a long way off and there's a train coming. The man hasn't noticed it. He runs along the train line, grabs the man and throws him. Both of them just narrowly miss getting killed by the train. That is agapital love. Okay? I think we can leave that there. And it's by that love that we recognize people who are saints. A saint might well do miracles, might well prophesy, might well speak in tongues if he wants to, might do all sorts of peculiar things, levitate, and so on, have a most amazing, extraordinary gifts, but actually people recognize him as a saint because he is full of love, and that love that pours out from him and immediately tells everybody, I'm in the presence of God here. The saint himself has brought to me the presence of God. Okay, right, we'll finish there. I can see what everybody's saying today. Maybe I should pretend I can't, because yesterday nobody said anything. We have a whole load of spring flowers and Thekla. It's a cold, wintry island. It's a cold, wintry, beautiful day, though, here. Good morning, Natalia. Nicolia. Good morning, Stella. Does Tekla also mean pupils? I don't know. It could be. It's not in the concordances and things. It doesn't say that. But I guess you'd say, yeah, it's not being used in that sort of way here. It's being used in terms of love. So pupils here really would be methetes, disciples, and that's really the proper word for pupils here, students, methetes. But technia, it is about His little kids, really. My beloved ones, my darlings. Father Alexander, it seemed more consistent with Christ talking about leaving them at the crucifixion. The new Exodus, Christ always with us, when 2 or 3 gather together, not left us. I'm inclined to take that view, but one has to take notice also of what the church fathers say. And some of them are definitely saying, he's saying, there's only, you've got minutes left with me rather than hours. And others are saying, you've got 40 days left with me rather than anything else. But I agree with you, Father Alexander, on this matter. Good morning, Father Christopher. Happy bright Tuesday to you. It's a nice week to have Easter this week. Judy says, as we joined on YouTube, I feel as though Christ joined us too. And still I feel like a pupil when I learn and join with you all. Love these Bible studies. Glory to God. Yeah, when the Lord says, when 2 or 3 are gathered together, the Lord, he says, I am in the midst of you. Okay, I'm in the midst of you. And it's exactly the same word, actually, that he uses here as well. I'm in the midst, I'm among you. The same idea, rather, on the same word. I'm among you. The love is among you. I am among you. You can tell that they're there. Okay? Natalia, how do you do all that without the left hand knowing what the right hand is doing? Well, your right hand might need to know what the left hand is doing. I often quite frequently find in the church that the right hand has no idea what the right hand is doing, and the left hand has no idea what the left hand is doing. Disorganized religion at its worst. Okay. No, you yourself need to know what you're up to, but as a function of faith, love pours from you. You can't help it. It just does. Christos, please pray for a boy, 13 years old, called Haralambos. Serious dermatological issue led to depression. His parents also suffering. This is the pray for Haralambos. May God bless him. At age 13, a boy of 13 will feel very self-conscious about anything like that. Poor lad. Thank you, Dina, for saying your prayer too. Good morning, Paul. Your prayers. Good morning, Mariana, as well. Okay, we'll finish there. God bless you and keep you. Remember to pray for each other. Pray especially today for Haralambos and for Simon, for Philip. Pray also for Elizabeth, please, today. I'm taking Helena up to her husband's grave today, I hope. So pray for her too. That'll be the first time I think she's been back there. Right, your prayers. God bless you. Oh, David, do you have any idea when you have the questions and answers? No. Maybe I should set a particular day every week. Maybe Fridays would be a good day. Right, I'll pencil that down here. Friday. Okay, so you can either ask questions immediately or you can send me some to think about beforehand. Okay, right, God bless you all. Oh, Friday on Zoom. Don't all much like Zoom. I'll think about it, Father Alexander.